As soon as we learn the value of money, we dream of being billionaires. For most people, that dream never comes true, and the few that do become billionaires achieve their wealth late in their life. However, there are some billionaires out there who amassed a considerable fortune at a very young age. Join us as we have a look at the youngest billionaires ever. Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook, the world's largest social networking site, and killer of our time and energy and everything else that's good in our lives. You probably have one of your own that you use to stalk your high school friends, or that person that you saw on Tinder that you didn't match with. With over 2 billion active users on Facebook in 2016 alone, it's highly likely that you have one. And your life might even revolve around checking your notifications or posting needless pictures of the pretentious food you're eating. So, who is the mastermind who created the site that connects the human race? None other than Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg first launched the site at the age of 19, way back in February of 2004, while studying psychology and computer science at Harvard. Just 2 years later, he was a millionaire. And a little over a year after that, he became the youngest billionaire in history at the age of 23. At that age, most people are graduating college, buying their first adult car, but old Zuck's purchase was his first 747 jet. Today, Zuckerberg is just 33 years old and worth a whopping $63.3 billion. And he's also famous for only accepting a $1 salary from Facebook because he prefers to live a frugal life. Forbes listed Zuckerberg as the 6th richest man alive and the youngest in their top 10 list. Zuckerberg is about 30 years younger than the average billionaire and has $60 billion more than the average billionaire. So, needless to say, he's one of the most impressive entrepreneurs of the 21st century. Dustin Moskovitz. Much like Buzz Aldrin, Dustin Moskovitz is the name that is often forgotten when mentioning their respective groundbreaking achievements. However, Moskovitz actually co-founded Facebook with Zuckerberg in 2004. Zuckerberg famously created Facebook for fun, but he did so with a little bit of help from his friends. Once Moskovitz saw the potential in Facebook, he would suggest that Zuckerberg take some time off from school in order to pursue the project full-time. Both of them soon withdrew from their classes and moved the Facebook base of operations to Palo Alto, California, also known as the famous Silicon Valley. Once there, Moskovitz became the company's chief technology officer and vice president of engineering. He would also be given the task of the overall aesthetic and practical design of the site, as well as developing a mobile platform. Moskovitz made his first $1 billion just a few years after Zuckerberg did. And that year, Forbes listed Moskovitz as the youngest billionaire of 2010. In 2008, he would leave Facebook to develop a project management application called Asana. However, he does still hold a 2.3% share in Facebook. And as of October 2016, he was worth $10.4 billion. Tom Pearson. Now it's time to look at one of Europe's youngest billionaires, the heir to the H&M fortune. You've probably heard of the brand, and you might even own a piece of their clothing. But H&M was founded by Erling Pearson in 1947, and has since become the second largest clothing retailer in the world. Old Erling would pass away in 2002, and that's when he would leave his clothing empire to his son, Stefan. But that isn't who we're going to talk about. Though Stefan does have a whopping net worth of $28 billion, which makes him the 17th richest person in the world, he's a senile man at the age of 69. However, his son Tom is just a young 32 years of age. While he doesn't work in the fashion industry, he is expected to inherit the family fortune upon his father's death, and he does currently work in the film industry, having a net worth of $2.4 billion, which makes him 722 on the list of the richest men alive. His sister Charlotte Soderstrom is also a billionaire in her own right, and she too will inherit part of the family fortune upon the passing of old daddy. She's currently working in H&M sponsorships and also owns a stud farm where she breeds many different types of livestock. So, I guess it just goes to show that every billionaire needs their own eccentric hobby, and she chose to have her own bovine brothel. Evan Spiegel. Now here's a self-made billionaire that's sure to make anyone born before 1990 feel like they've been wasting their entire lives away in front of a microphone doing YouTube videos all day. And you old geriatrics might have seen some of these young children taking pictures of themselves, and all of a sudden their face turns into a dog or a halo of flowers appears around their head. Well, it isn't witchcraft, it's Snapchat. Snapchat is an image messaging application created by Stanford students Evan Spiegel, Reggie Brown, and Bobby Murphy. The trio would begin working on the application while studying computer science at Stanford. Snapchat built onto a previous application created by Murphy called Peekaboo, and it offered a feature where you could send disappearing pictures to users within your network. Murphy would then go on to graduate Stanford in 2010, but Spiegel decided to leave Stanford early in order to pursue the development of the Snapchat app full-time in 2012. Then, by the end of 2013, Snapchat had become one of the most popular applications on the Apple and Google Play Store. Spiegel and Murphy turned down offers from multiple companies, including Facebook, who wanted to buy them out, and both agreed that any short-term profit was not as good as developing the app at their own leisure. At the age of just 25, Spiegel would be named the youngest billionaire of 2015, along with Murphy listed as the second. And Snapchat was estimated to be worth $25 billion in February of 2007, despite taking a $515 million loss earlier in the year. As of now, Spiegel has an estimated net worth of $4 billion, as does his cohort, Bobby Murphy. Elizabeth Holmes. Not often do you really hear about female billionaires, so let's begin by introducing you to the youngest self-made female billionaire ever. Elizabeth Holmes was a bright young student with a passion for foreign language and a desire to improve mankind. She would practice Mandarin for 3 years and then began her first teaching business in high school. After that, she decided to attend Stanford University in order to study chemical engineering. Then, after her freshman year, she began working in a SARS laboratory at the Genome Institute of Singapore. It was there that she would develop one of her first medical products, a wearable drug delivery patch that could be made for an affordable price. She patented the product in 2003, going on to drop out of college in 2004. And with the money that she intended to use to pay for her incredibly steep Stanford tuition, she began a healthcare technology company. The company, well, it was called Theranos, and its mission was to make healthcare and healthcare information available to people of every income level. Then, after getting the company up and off the ground, she was able to raise over $4 million from venture capitalist investments. The company would soon take off, and she was able to streamline the blood testing process, which gave her the ability to radically cut costs. Theranos was estimated to be worth $9 billion in 2015. And Holmes holds a 50% stake in the company. At the age of 31, she had an estimated net worth of $4.5 billion, making her the youngest self-made female billionaire in the world. Sadly though, being number one does come at a price, and numerous journalistic investigations revealed that the Theranos testing methods were, well, providing inaccurate results, and also that Holmes had misled investors with her false claims. Once the information became public, numerous investors would pull out, and then the company's worth had to be reevaluated. At the end of 2016, it was estimated to be worth less than $1 billion. And these days, Holmes is now $25 million in debt to the company. Hugh Grosvenor. This baby-faced billionaire, well, he's going to make you wish that you were British royalty. In August of 2016, baby Hugh became the 7th Duke of Westminster, upon the death of his father, Gerald. The family's deeply rooted ties to the British government have allowed for them to amass an enormous fortune over the past 2 centuries. Most of it comes from real estate development, as well as land ownership along with other business ties. Hugh attended Newcastle University for possibly the most aristocratic degree in the history of the world, countryside management. After college, he then began working in estate management for the Grosvenor Group. a 340-year-old family-owned property group, and he soon left the protective bubble of his family name in order to begin working as an account manager for a green energy company called BioBean in January of 2016. Then, upon his father's death later in the year, Hugh and his 3 siblings inherited an astounding $9 billion. Alexandra Andressen. Here we have the youngest female billionaire in the world, Alexandra Andressen. On top of that, she's also the youngest billionaire in the entire world altogether. Alexandra and her sister are the heiresses to the Ford company fortune. Ford is the largest privately owned company in Norway, and the company specializes in real estate and investing, being founded by Johan Andressen, their father. In 2007, Johan transferred 42.2% stakes in the company to each of his daughters. And at the time, Alexandra was only 11 years old, and her sister was just 12. The company was just 6 years old when Johan decided to make this decision, and almost 10 years later, it's grown in value. However, Ford was not the only source of income for the family. They, much like other British families, are deeply rooted within the industry of their country. Alexandra and her sister are the great-great-great-granddaughters of a Norwegian banker by the name of Nikolai Andressen, whose company eventually became Nordea, one of the largest retail banks in Europe. They're also the great-great-granddaughters of Johan Heinrich Andressen, a merchant and tobacco factory owner. Oh, and it doesn't end there. They're also the granddaughters of Johan Andressen, an industrialist and conservative politician. At the age of 19, Alexandra is worth $1.2 billion, and her sister is worth $1.15 billion at the age of 20. With less than 2,000 billionaires in the world, it's unlikely that you'll ever become one. But who knows? Maybe you'll have the next Snapchat or Facebook in your back pocket, and you haven't executed your plan yet. From tech genius to lucky bloodlines, these have been some of the youngest billionaires from around the world. But did we miss any? Let us know all about it in the comments below, and thanks for watching.
Joaquin Guzman. Joaquin Guzman, also known as El Chapo, is among one of the most known drug kingpins, and the public has been trying to have a peek into his home for many, many years.